Dear student, welcome to Biospirit. Today I am giving second PUC fixed questions. These questions are helpful for scoring 60 plus marks. So I will give chapter wise important questions. So please read for your annual exam. So first chapter is there sexual reproduction in flowering plant. So from this chapter, first question they arise like that. How does pollination achieved in Valsinaria and seagrass? And next question is the differentiate between geitonogamy and xenogamy. Geitonogamy means the transfer of pollen grain takes place from one flower to another flower of the same plant, and it is a different one. So like self pollination and cross pollination, you have to write differentiate between geitonogamy and xenogamy. And third question is that what are the false fruit? Give an example. False fruit means the fruit development will be takes place from the part of the flower, for example like thalamus. So the the fruit will be developed from the thalamus. Usually the fruit is developing by the help of that is ovary, and ovules is helpful for the developing of a seed. But in some plant the fruit is developed by part of the flower except ovary. Those are we are calling as a false fruit. Example that is apple is a. Next, write any 4 characteristics of the flower pollinated by winds. So you have to write 4 characteristics. For example, the wind pollination means the pollen grains are light, dry and non-sticky. So like that is it. And next question is differentiate between pericarp and perisperm. Next, what is parthenogenesis? Give one example or give parthenogenesis, and you have to write 1 or 2, 3 examples for parthenogenesis. Next question is there what is heterothallic condition? Differentiate between staminate and pistillate flower. Heterothallic means the flowers, the 2 different type of flowers are grown in different plant. For example, male reproductive organ contain flower, it is grown in one plant, and female reproductive organ contain flower, they grown in another plant. That is we are calling as a heterothallic. In meaning only they giving definition, that is hetero means different, thallic means that is plant. Next, differentiate between pistillate and staminate flower means staminate means the flower which contain male reproductive structure, that is we are calling as staminate flower. Pistillate flower means the which flower they contain only female reproductive part, that is pistillate flower. Next question is there define the following terms or define emasculation, bagging. Emasculation means removal of a male reproductive part, for example stamen, and bagging means closing of a flower to protect from the contamination. Next is there that is differentiate between external fertilization and internal fertilization. Here you write down between. So external fertilization means fertilization takes place outside, and internal fertilization means fertilization takes place inside the body. Next question is there list post fertilization changes in flowering plant. Post means after fertilization, what are the changes are takes place in the flower, that is we have to write. After fertilization, what will happen? The egg will be, they become as a the male and female reproductive gametes fuse to form as a zygote, and zygote they start developing embryo. Next, ovule they develop the seed, ovary they develop the fruit. So like that you have to write. Next, 11th question, define genogamy, apomixis and chasmogamy. Next, 12th one is describe the structure of mature female gametophyte in angiosperm. You have to write female gametophyte, that is mature female gametophyte means embryo sac. Next, 13th one, briefly explain the structure of pollen grain. So you have to write structure of pollen grains, that is outermost layer of the pollen grain is called exine, inner layer is called intine, and outermost exine is made by sporopollen, and in certain reason uncovering of exine is there, that portion is called germ pore. It is helpful for the developing of the pollen tube. Center they have a 2 nucleus, like that you have to write. Next question is there draw a neat label of a longitudinal section of typical flower. You have to draw a flower diagram. Next question is there, what is artificial hybridization? By which technique it is achieved? Artificial hybridization means the how hybrid formation is takes place. For example, they given in NCERT, that is emasculation. So that is you have to write that technique, you have to explain. Next 16th question is there, what are clustergamous flower? Write its significance. Next 17th one, explain the structure of mature embryo sac. It is most important, many times they arise a question on embryo sac. You have to explain the structure of that is embryo sac. During explanation of mature embryo sac, you have to draw a diagram also, because it will attract for the evaluator. And next 18th one, what is pollination? Mention any 4 features of wind pollinated flower. Next 19th one is draw a neat label diagram of TS of enganther. It is also most important diagram is there. Next question, draw a neat label diagram of a typical anatropous ovule of the angiosperm and explain it. It is also most important. You have to draw a diagram plus you have to explain the anatropous ovule. And next, write the characteristics features of insect pollinated flower. And 22 question is there, write the 3 advantages offered by a seed to the angiosperm. And 23rd is there, that is define autogamy. Write the 2 different kind of flowers that exhibit autogamy. Next question is the 24th one, describe the outbreeding device that prevent the autogamy. You have to write this description of the outbreeding device. And next, what is double fertilization? Describe fertilized embryo sac with a neat label diagram. So you have to write definition of double fertilization, and after fertilization how embryo sac will be look like. You have to draw that diagram and plus you have to explain. And next 26th is there, explain the transverse section of enganther with neat label diagram. Already I read that this question, it is repeated. Next 27th is there, write the event of development of the female gametophyte in correct order. So that is, you know very well, one single nucleus, it will be start divide to form as a 2 daughter nuclei, and both they start reaching upper and lower pole. Again in both pole the next division is takes place, and like that continuous division will be takes place, and upper 4 nucleus they start developing like that. The 3 nuclei will be they start converting into antipodal cell, and 1 nuclei will be start moving towards the center, that is upper polar body, and lower side 3 nuclei they start developing egg aperture, and 1 nuclei they start moving towards the center, and both that moved nuclei we are calling as a polar bodies. So like that you have to write. And next question is there, explain the structure of megasporangium, means ovule you have to draw, and diagram plus explanation you have to write. And 29th is there, explain any 4 outbreeding device that prevent the autogamy. I think it is also repeated. Next 30 question is there, describe the structure of dicot embryo with the help of label diagram. You have to draw a dicot embryo and you have to explain the dicot embryo. And next chapter is there, human reproduction. So first question, list the hormone produced by the placenta during the pregnancy. What are the hormones it is produced by placenta during pregnancy? You have to write. And next question is there, mention the accessory duct of a female or male reproductive system. So here I mentioned both female and male, so you have to write accessory duct. And next third question is there, write the 2 events that occur in ovary and the uterus during the follicular phase of the menstrual cycle. So what events it is takes place, those events you have to write. And next fourth one is that draw a neat label diagram of the sectional view of human mammary gland. You have to you have to write human mammary gland. Next, fifth one is write the schematic representation of spermatogenesis. You have to write schematic representation of spermatogenesis and be ready for explanation also. Sometimes they are asking explanation plus schematic representation, so how to be ready. And next, sixth question is draw a neat label diagram of the human sperm. So next, draw a neat label diagram of the sectional view of female reproductive system. You have to draw a female reproductive system, so at least you have to label more than 7 labelings. And next, eighth one is draw a neat label diagram of the human male reproductive system. So female, male, and mammary gland, sperms, so these are the most important is you have to draw, you have to practice it. And next, ninth one is write the schematic representation of oogenesis. So from this chapter 6 they are arising the 5 marks questions, so you have to read these questions. Chapter is that is third chapter, reproductive health. From this chapter, first question they arise, mention any 4 sexually transmitted disease. So for example, AIDS, it is transferred by sexual contact, so like that you have to write which disease it is transferring by a sexual contact, those you have to mention. And second one is suggest any 3 assisted reproductive technology to overcome infertility. Infertility means which couples are unable to give children's or conceive, that is those couples they want something technology for the continuity of the generation. So how to follow the art, from art which 3 techniques you are suggesting, those techniques you have to write. And next, third one is what is infertility, how is infertility treated by the assisted reproductive technology, gift and ICSI. Fourth one is what are the, from fourth to main questions, sub questions are there. First one, A, what are the features of an ideal contraceptive. And second, B question is mention the natural method of the contraception, and you have to write that is features of ideal contraception and natural method also. And fifth one is what are contraceptive, explain 4 different non-surgical contraceptive. Means some contraceptives are there, they are no need to follow this surgical method, so those you have to write. For example, physical, and next pills, so those you have to write. And sixth one is mention 2 surgical methods that prevent the contraception. Next question, seventh one, what is medical termination of the pregnancy, mention the safe period. You have to write MTP and plus safe, which one is there, safe period, those safe periods you have to mention. Eighth one is list any 3 reasons for the population explosion, so that is also the given in NCERT, you have to write. And ninth one is how do the following assisted reproductive technology assisted to the couple to have a children's, the which couple they don't have a children's, for those couples how art technology is suggesting, you have to explain. I think it is already repeated, but the question is there in different angle. Next, first one, in this question only they given first one, A, in vitro fertilization means IVF you have to explain, and GIFT you have to explain, and gift. So next chapter is there principle of inheritance and variation. So first question, mention 3 symptoms of the Turner syndrome. So how the Turner syndrome is takes place, and you have to write 3 symptoms. And next, what are the conclusion drawn by a Th. Morgan experiment in Drosophila melanogaster with respect to linkage. So Th. Morgan they explain the that is how the linkage will be takes place, recombination will be occur, so that is you have to explain with that is experiment method, what experiment he used. And next, third one is the shape of RBCS of a sickle cell anemia patient changed to the sickle like structure, give reason. So how the RBC, for example, so not for example, that is RBC is there, that is biconcave shape. It will be turned into a half moon like structure, and if it is turned half moon like structure means the person is start suffering by sickle cell anemia disease. And how it is changing, that is you have to write in reason. And next fourth one is write the karyotype of the following syndrome. That is first one is Down syndrome, second one Klinefelter syndrome, third one Turner syndrome. And fifth question is write any 4 symptoms of the Down syndrome. Sixth question, what is incomplete dominance? Explain with suitable example. So you have to write definition. Incomplete dominance means half they showing the dominant character, so that's why they giving some different type of the trait. For example, that is dog plant, they cross the white and red dog plants, they cross, and it will be form as a pink color. So because of the dominant allele, they shows or express their character half only, so that's why we are calling as incomplete dominance. And next seventh one is explain the Mendel experiment to describe the inheritance of one gene with reference to height of the pea plant. Here you have to write, that is you have to write the schematic representation of monohybrid crossing with taking the example, that is height of the plant means tall cross with the dwarf. You have to write schematic representation and plus explanation. And next question is there, eighth one, what is test cross? Mention its significance. You have to write definition of test cross and plus uses. And ninth one is there, mention the causes and effect of the phenylketonuria. What are the causes are there? Phenylketonuria. And what are the effects are there? Phenylketonuria is male heterogamety. Explain sex determination in humans. You have to write, that is heterogamety, male heterogamety. Male heterogamety means so the two different type of gametes are producing, and both the gametes they contain different type of chromosomes, and it is only helpful for the identifying of the sex of the baby or organism. For example, the one gamete they contain X chromosome, another gamete they contain Y chromosome, and you have to explain the sex determination in human. Next 11th one is state the law of independent assortment. You have to write statement of the law of independent assortment. And next write the schematic representation of dihybrid crossing. You have to write dihybrid crossing. Here they not given any, that is trait, you have to take yourself only. Sometimes they will give, for example last time just now only I read that question, monohybrid height of the plant they given. So like that sometimes they will give option, otherwise they will arise question direct on dihybrid, otherwise they will use two gene interaction. So next question is that what are multiple alleles? Give an examples. You have to write definition of multiple alleles and you have to give examples. Next 13th question is there, explain the homozygous genotype of a ABO blood group. Next 14th one is there, what are Mendelian disorder? Give 2 examples. And 15th one is there, describe haplodiplomatic sex determination. This sex determination in honeybee. So you know very well how worker bee is formed, how drone is formed, how queen is formed. You have to write. And next 16th one is the distinguish between the homozygous and heterozygous plant. And 17th one is the write a note on color blind. And 18th one is the what is the point mutation? Give an example for the point mutation. So here you have to write definition plus you have to give examples. And 19th one is the explain the mechanism of exotype of the sex determination in insect. And next chapter is the molecular basis of inheritance, 5th chapter. And from this 5th chapter the first question arises like that, list the silent features of the human genome project. It is most important, many times they arise a question based on this topic. And second one is there, mention the steps involved in DNA fingerprints. You have to write what are the steps involved in the DNA fingerprint. Those you have to write. And next third one is a describe lac operon concept with labeled sketch. And lac operon means you have to describe both switch on and switch off, and you have to write both the schematic representation of that is switch on and switch off, then only you will get full marks. Next fourth one is that describe the process of the DNA replication with the help of diagram. You have to describe DNA replication, how the duplication of DNA takes place, and what are the enzymes are involved and where they involve. You have to write, you have to draw a diagram, plus you have to explain it. And next fifth question is that describe the process of translation of mRNA. So how the translation is takes place, you can write down in point wise, so they will check only the important words. So the in explanation all points are covered or not, they will check. You have to write in point wise, or you can write down in description level also. Next sixth question is describe Frederick experiment to show a transformation in bacteria. Means Griffith experiment. So here he taking 4 mice and he selected one bacteria, that is Streptococcus pneumonia. So in Streptococcus pneumonia they have two types, rough one and smooth one. So rough he injecting on the newborn mice, and smooth he injecting on the newborn mice. The smooth Streptococcus pneumonia injected mice will be dead. So like that you have to write. And next seventh one, explain the structure of Watson and Crick model of a structure of DNA. Next here you have to explain the structure of DNA, and plus you have to write, you have to draw a DNA. And next eighth one is explain the biochemical test done by every and his team to prove the DNA is the genetic material. So that is one test is that it is done by 3 scientists. So those scientists, what they did, you have to explain it in point wise. And ninth one is that explain any 5 silent features of the genetic code. And next 10th one is that explain the process of transcription in prokaryotic, or sometimes they will arise the eukaryotic, both I mentioned, you have to read. And 11th one is that write a short note on central dogma. Next 12th question is that what does nucleosome composed of? So nucleosome, it is composed by what are the materials, you have to write. For example, that is histone, DNA. So that is you have to write. And next how it is packaging, that is also you have to write. 13th one is that write the functions of DNA dependent RNA polymerase and RNA dependent DNA polymerase. So you have to write functions of both. And 14th one is that what are the exon and introns. So in word only meaning is that exon means expressive, intron means inactive. So which one is not working DNA part is there, that is we are calling as intron. Which one is expressive is there, that is we are calling as a exon. Next 13th one is that UAA, UAZ, UZA are called nonsense codon. Why? Because it is stop codons are there, that's why we are calling as a nonsense codon. And next 14th one is that mention the application of the DNA fingerprinting. So you have to mention the application of the DNA fingerprinting wherever we are using DNA fingerprint, and why it is needed and what are the helpfuls are there. Next 15th one, write any 4 goal of the HGP, Human Genome Project. So 4 goals of Human Genome Project you have to write. And next 16th one is that define the following terms. First one is that purine, second one pyrimidines, third one transcription, fourth one nucleosome, fifth one that is replication, RNA splicing and mutation. Next question is that name the bond linked between the nitrogenous base and sugar. Next chapter, 6th chapter, evolution. From this chapter, first question they arise, differentiate between homologous and analogous organ. You have to differentiate homologous and analogous, and you have to mention example also for homologous and analogous. And it is most important is that many times they arise question. Sometimes say RIC individual for 3 marks, sometimes say RIC combined. And second one is there, what is adaptive radiation? Give an example. You have to write definition of adaptive radiation and you have to give examples also. Next, third one is there, write any 2 factors affecting Hardy-Weinberg principles. Which factor it is affecting for the Hardy-Weinberg principle? Those factors you have to write. And 7th chapter, human health and disease. So from this chapter, first question, differentiate between active immunity and passive immunity. You have to write differentiate between both. And next, second one is there, briefly explain any 3 prevention and control measures of the drug or alcohol abuse. So how to mention that is 3 prevention. And next, third one is there, draw a neat label diagram of the structure of antibody. It is most important is there, you have to practice it. And fourth one is there, list any 3 types of innate immunity. So in NCERT they given 4 types. So in previous year the RIC question that is 3 type. You have to practice all 4. So they mention here 3. That is list any 3 type of the innate immunity barrier and give an example for each. You have to read all types with examples. Next, fifth one is that distinguish between the benign tumor and malignant tumor. Both you have to write difference. And sixth one is that write the diagrammatic representation of life cycle of HIV or retrovirus. It is also most important is that you have to practice it. And seventh one is that what is contact inhibition and mention the types of tumors. And eighth one is that mention any 5 characteristics of the cancer. And ninth one is that name the pathogen, vector and symptom of a malaria. So you know how the malaria will be caused and which organism will be responsible for that is plasmodium is there. The plasmodium is a pathogen and it is taking help, that is mosquito, female anopheles mosquitoes. Once the malaria will be the cause, what are the symptoms will be appears, those symptoms you have to write. Next, 10th one is there, mention the types of the carcinogen with an example for the each. And 11th one is there, name the disease caused by a following organisms. First one is there rhinovirus, second one is there epidermophyton, and third one is there salmonella typhi, and fourth one is there Uchinarea molli, and that is fifth one is there Plasmodium vivax. So they give an organism and which disease they causing, how to write. For example, rhinovirus, it is causing common cold, so like that you have to write. And 12th one is that list any 4 methods of the HIV transmission. How the HIV transmission will be takes place, that is 4 method you have to write. And next, 13th one is that what is biopsy test and mention the any 2 techniques of a cancer detection and diagnosis. And that cancer detection and diagnosing 2 technique you have to write. And 14th one is that define immunity, differentiate between innate immunity and acquired immunity. And 15th one is that describe the measures taken to control alcohol and drug abuse in the adolescent. And today I am giving these 7 chapter questions, and in part 2 I will cover remaining chapters. If you want question plus answer means please comment and I will try to make questions and answers. So all the best for your exam.